This man needs no introduction. ESPN's fantasy sports analyst, Mr. Matthew Berry. How are you, my friend?
What's up, brother? Good to talk to you.
Matthew, I talked to you the other day. We were at Gillette doing an event.
Yep.
You said you were working around the clock. How busy is it this time of year for you?
It's, August is always sort of my biggest month, obviously, as everyone gets ready for fantasy drafts. We just launched a new show on ESPN. It's called The Fantasy Show. It's on every day, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, and you can watch it online as well, ESPN.com and our YouTube channel and everything like that. So it's sort of everything I do plus this show. So it's been the busiest August of my life, but, it's great. It's just a testament to how big fantasy football has become and sort of the commitment that ESPN has to it.
How's it going? How is the new show going for you? Like, are you getting the groove?
Yeah, it's fun. It's we're trying some different things, which is cool. Our sort of mandate from the bosses was it can't look like anything else on ESPN. So we really took that to heart. So we're trying a bunch of different things, and there's some comedy, and there's also like a bunch of different players that we're talking about, a lot of interesting stats. We talk about players that don't get mentioned a lot on ESPN. We talk about sort of, the other day we talked about Zay Jones, George Kittle, the tight end in San Francisco. No one on ESPN is talking about Zay Jones, the Buffalo Bills rookie wide receiver, or George Kittle, or Austin Hooper, or so it's been a lot of fun doing all that.
Well, when you bring up rookies, who's going to be the fantasy football rookie of the year?
I think there's a couple of choices, not to dodge the question, but this is as good a year for rookies, at least as far as running backs go, as I can remember. So, the obvious guys, Leonard Fournette in Jacksonville. I think he's going to have a monster year. They want to just do nothing but run the ball. He'll be ready by week one. Chris McCaffrey, every report you hear out of Carolina is just raves, and he's going to run between the tackles. I think people thought coming out of college maybe he'd be a little bit too small for the pros. He'd be more of a gadget guy. No, Carolina's going to run him between the tackles in addition to all the gadget stuff, the short passes and everything like that. So McCaffrey, Joe Mixon has a world of talent. There's an opportunity there. I'm very high on Kareem Hunt, the rookie in Kansas City, currently behind Spencer Ware, but he continues to wow in the preseason. We saw what Alvin Kamara could do in New Orleans, rookie running back, third down back for them. But, Peterson and Ingram have struggled with injury concerns in them. Dalvin Cook continues to dazzle in Minnesota. So it's a very exciting time for rookie running backs. And finally, Marlon Mack in Indianapolis, again, with Gore in his age 34 season. You don't expect him to carry as much of a workload as he has in the past. I think you see some Marlon Mack in there as well. So those are all guys that I like a lot.
You always put up your love and hate column. Let's act like no one's listening except for you and me. And I want you to give me, just me, your fellow senior fantasy football analyst, give me a piece, give me a diamond in a rough. Who do you love the most and who do you hate the most? And I use the word hate in a fantasy term.
Well, in terms of their ADP, it's always just like where they're going in drafts. Well, give me a position. Let's narrow it down a little bit.
Okay, let's say running back. Who do you love the most? It's 2017. It's hard to say anybody's a sleeper, but who is the guy that you would say this is the guy that's the least discussed guy?
Well, I don't know that Kareem Hunt is the least discussed guy who I just mentioned, but I really like him a lot. He's currently going as running back 40 on ESPN.com. I'll give you another guy that I think is undervalued. He was going as running back 31. I've been talking up for a while. Some other people have as well. So I think his ADP is starting to rise. But still, I think Adrian Peterson is going between running back 25 and 31. And people like, Adrian Peterson, we've been talking about him forever. Is he healthy? What's going on? He's going to the Saints. There's Mark Ingram there. But there's almost 300 running back touches that weren't Mark Ingram last year. It was like 246. And this is a team that had 17 rushing touchdowns last year that over the last 3 years has had the fourth most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. We always think of the Saints as this passing offense, but they like to run when they get in close. This is a team that's highly efficient in terms of their scoring, and they run as well. I think there's a very good chance that Adrian Peterson falls into double-digit touchdowns this year. He think about how many years he was in Minnesota, Michael, where he had to face all those eight-man fronts. You're not putting an eight-man front against Drew Brees. you'll get killed. So I think he's going to find very open running lanes, and given how good he is around the goal line, I expect for Adrian Peterson to greatly outproduce his ADP.
All right, that's good stuff. And then as far as running backs, who is one person, I don't like this word hate, but to stay away from? Who's one person whose stock shouldn't be as high as it is?
Well, Spencer Ware is the guy that I mentioned in Kansas City. One of the reasons that I like Kareem Hunt so much is not just his particular talent, but if you look a little bit closer at Spencer Ware in terms of what he did last year, after carry 10, he averaged 3.3 yards per carry. Like, he really wore down, and it seems like he's more suited for, a specialist role, if you will, less of a workload than being a true workhorse running back. And I think Kansas City realizes that he was just less effective after 10 carries. He had no touchdowns last year after 10 carries. So my expectation is he's being drafted as a starter or at least as a high-end flex, and I don't think he matches that. My expectation is that at the end of the year, Kareem Hunt has more fantasy points than Spencer Ware.
All right. And then Tom Brady, a lot of people are discussing picking him in the third round. When is it too early? What round is it too early to go after Tom Brady?
You know what? I probably wouldn't take Brady until the fourth or the fifth. He's going to have an insane year. He's just going to have a monster year. And, it depends on your league settings. Maybe you go a little bit earlier if you're in a league like, Michael, the one you and I played in last year, which was 6 points per touchdown pass. But in a standard league, an ESPN standard league, for example, where it's only 4 points per touchdown pass, I'm waiting till the fourth, fifth, even later. You can wait on a quarterback that's so deep. And as great as I think Brady or Rodgers is, they're going to have they're going in the second round, and that's just too early for me, like in a 10-team, one-quarterback league.
There's all these kinds of leagues. There's, auction. There's, PPR, non-PPR. What is your favorite type of league or scoring format? Like, what do you think is the most sort of fun for everybody?
It's all over the place. I don't really have an answer because I love all forms of fantasy. Among my favorite leagues is so I play in a league with my wife and my kids, and we just do 6 points across the board standard scoring because I wanted to keep it really simple because we've got some 10 and 11-year-olds in there. Right? But I also play in a 16-team PPR league here with a bunch of people at ESPN, and I love that league. It's super competitive. You got to really dig deep. Standard ESPN leagues are 10-team PPR. I love PPR. So I don't really actually have a favorite. I do enjoy 2 quarterback leagues as well.
Now, when you're in these competitive leagues when it's all sort of, the highest of the high brow fantasy and NFL people, that just seems like the best of the best and the most fun. Like, how competitive does it get?
It's insanely competitive because it's, here, the league I'm referring to here at ESPN, it's Trey Wingo, it's Adam Schefter, it's Mort, Trent Dilfer's in the league. So it's all these people that you've seen on television for many years. Field Yates and Stephania Bell, my co-hosts on the podcast, they're in it as well. So it's just a bunch of people that know the NFL really well, that have tons of contacts. I played Adam Schefter in the playoffs last year, and he got a tip the night before from an assistant on Atlanta that he should start Tevin Coleman. This was the game against the Rams. Tevin Coleman gets 2 gimme touchdowns from inside the 5. He had 3 all year, but 2 of them came against me. So instead of Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman had the huge year. And so Adam, who hadn't really been starting Tevin Coleman, ended up beating me, and that was the difference. Like, how do you compete against that? I remember another time, Trent Dilfer and I were talking about a trade, and I was going to trade him a wide receiver. He was going to give me a running back. And so we'd agreed on the trade, and then later that afternoon, I sent him the official trade, through the website, and he rejected it. And so I texted Trent. I'm like, what's going on? I thought we had a deal. He's like, yeah, sorry. I texted his quarterback. He doesn't like him. So I won't say who the quarterback is, but literally that's the kind of league where Trent Dilfer could literally text an NFL quarterback and say, what do you think about this guy? I'm thinking about trading him for fantasy. And the quarterback's like, yeah, don't do it. I don't like that guy.
I like that kind of league. Listen, if you want to give me some emails and you need me to send some anonymous things to shake it up or get people unfocused, I'm your guy. Matthew.
There's no greater trash talker than Michael Rappaport. I can attest to that.
Just if you need anybody to get, anybody needs them straightening out, just send me the names, and, you have the anonymous email chain for me. Matthew, finally, Le'Veon Bell, does his stock drop because he's missed the entire training camp, or is he still your number 2 pick?
He's my number 2 pick, but I wouldn't be lying if I said, I feel totally fine with it. We did something actually on the show today. It'll be coming out later on the fantasy show, but we looked at it. And, Larry Johnson, Chris Johnson, and Maurice Jones-Drew, all were fantasy superstars, all held out. And in the 3 years, taking their average of the 3 years prior to the year they held out, they averaged 28% less fantasy points per game in their holdout year than they did in the previous 3 years. And Larry Johnson and Maurice Jones-Drew both also missed significant time. Am I saying that? Is that going to definitely happen with Le'Veon Bell? No, but somebody who has had injury concerns as well. He hasn't been in camp. You hope he's keeping in shape. You assume he's keeping in shape, but he hasn't been part of their workout regimen. It just makes you a little nervous. It's why I have David Johnson as a clear-cut number 1, and Le'Veon Bell's still my number 2. But I will say that I do think James Conner, who's basically going undrafted and who I would expect to be Le'Veon Bell's backup if something were to ever happen to him, is somebody that is absolutely you should grab at the end of your draft if you can, because we've seen what D'Angelo Williams can do. We've seen what the number 2 running back, even Fitzgerald Toussaint, when he's gotten a shot, whoever the running back is in Pittsburgh, that offense is so efficient and runs so well, whoever it is going to have value.
All right, well, Matthew, I appreciate the information. I appreciate the insight. The name of the show is The Fantasy Show. It's on ESPN. It's hosted by the great Matthew Berry. I appreciate the time, Matthew, and good luck, and get some sleep when you can. And like I said, if you ever need me to rattle the cage for anybody over there, you know where to find me.
Absolutely, Michael. Thanks, man.
I'll talk to you soon.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that, please download our app. There's lots of fun things there other than just more of the videos you just saw. You can call us from the app. You can email us from the app. Just download it. Trust me, you'll enjoy it.